A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting of peace, the greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of our universal creator, Almighty Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very grateful to be here in our congregation where we are focused on remembering our Creator. This is the most important thing, according to the Quran, to remember your Creator. If you are not remembering your Creator, then you are living without remembering, which means you have forgotten. So all of us, being on the planet after Adam and Eve's incident, have lived in a state of forgetfulness, where we are not aware of our Creator, and guidance has come to humanity to guide us to become aware of our Creator, to go beyond the forgetfulness, to go beyond this lowly fallen state of disbelief, to guide us back to belief. So human beings, when you live, you can live lost in a trance, unawake, unconscious, living subconsciously, below consciousness. And when guidance comes to you, and if you receive that guidance, you no longer will be living unconsciously. You no longer will be living subconsciously. You will be living Allah consciously, and you will be living consciously. That means you live without being lost. So the Quran guides us to remember Allah, and those who remember Allah will experience Allah remembering us. Those who fail to remember Allah, theirs will be a depressed life. Get what I mean? You won't know true security. You won't be a believer until you go beyond the forgetfulness and you remember, until you go beyond the trances, satanic trances, and you awaken to truth. See? And so this is the human being's priority while we are here. The Quran says that it is for us to bring to Allah a purified heart. It's not going to be our wealth and business and things we do for money and how much money we got. And it's not our children or our families that are going to benefit us, which are the main preoccupations. People are really about work, or family, living like that. And these are not really going to benefit you, except that which is going to benefit you is bringing to Allah a purified heart. So this is why we get together here. I'm not here to tell you how to live. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm not here to be your parent. I'm not here to be blindly followed. I'm definitely not here to continue you in an age-regressed state. What does that mean? It means while growing up, you didn't grow all the way up and become aware of your Creator, and you've been the child who hasn't been guided and didn't have role models, etc., to show you what faith is. And so as a child, you are trying to do the right thing and not do the wrong thing. I'm not here to play these games with anybody. I'm only here to share with you that which I've been guided to, and guided to faith, iman in my heart. I'm here to share that with you. I'm not here to tell you that you should have iman in your heart. Of course, you could have iman in your heart. But it's up to you, the Quran says. If you want to believe, believe. If you don't want to believe, don't believe. But there are consequences for belief and for disbelief. I was reading Surah Kahf last night, and it says those who are stubborn disbelievers, they will surely experience hell. People who are insistent on remaining unaware of God, I mean, who are these people? They're all of us, until guidance comes to us. And until guidance comes to us, we're all lost. And we are lost in either the needy, on ourselves, denying God. We deny God. We think there's no God, and it's us and this world. Only us and this world is real. So the first type is the kuffar. We all are, until guidance comes to us, one of these three categories. The first one is the kuffar. They deny God, out and out. No such thing as God. There's no God. We've never seen God. We've never met God. There's no God. The atheists. And others who might not say that they're atheists, but they what's that? We don't know. This is all hocus pocus. You know what I mean? And I don't blame some of them in that the religion and the religious people have gone into so much of superstition and ignorance that some of them are this is not really, we don't believe in this Father Christmas, Tooth Fairy kind of understanding of God. Well, neither do I believe in a Father Christmas, Tooth Fairy, there's something that's going to just, we must be like little children and be good children, and, we'll be cared for, and if we're bad children, we'll be punished. No. Of course, there's reward for awakening and living consciously, but not as good children, but as spiritually developed adults, bringing to Allah a purified heart. And of course, if you remain in a state of spiritual impoverishment, there is going to be suffering in this world through your death and beyond. If you live with superstition, ignorance, and arrogance, if you live feeling entitled, if you're living without being humble, if you're living without recognizing the truth, you're going to have issues in this world, no matter how good you are at making money and competent and thinking, if I got money, I'm okay, I can control, I can manipulate, So there are people who deny God out and out, and there are people who have ideas about God. And these are just ideas about God, but they don't have a relationship with God. They're not really aware of God. They take gods other than God. They'll tell you a man is God, Jesus is God. They'll tell you things like God died for us. Think about that. I'm not insulting anybody. I'm not embarrassing anybody. I'm just asking you to reason. If you think God was born, and if you think God died, that's an idea of God. Then that idea of God is completely out and out. It's out. So there are people who have ideas. This thing that we made with our hand, this idol is a God, and we'll appease it. They take forms in this world, things that they made with their hands, ideas that they made with their minds. These are the mushriks. These are not bad words. You're not swearing anybody. These are descriptive words. One who denies God, one who associates partners with God. They're not God aware. They remain lost. They remain lost, basically. And the third type that we are most familiar with, and a lot of us are or come from, is the hypocrites who say they believe in Allah in the last day, who stand in prayer, but, whose hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses, in whose hearts is a disease, and we are left astray, and, God doesn't guide those who are arrogant. So most of the people we know who call themselves Muslims probably fall into this category, that they say they believe, but they don't believe. In their hearts is a disease. That disease is expanded. They're astray, and they're left astray. They're not real believers. They might say, but we said the kalima, etc. Remember, the Quran tells us about those people who came to the Prophet and said, but we are believers. And the Quran says, no. You said the kalima, you are submissive in religion, but faith has not entered into your heart. You get what I mean? So we're talking about going beyond these three types of unbelief or being a disbeliever, these three types of forgotten God, of not being aware of God, of being lost. There's three types of being lost. All three are the same. Somebody might say, but at least people got ideas about God. The hypocrites got some idea about God, but they don't have an awareness and experience of God. They are no different. The Quran puts the hypocrite Muslims in the same category as the associators. They're going to have the same consequences. People might say the word Allah, but they don't have the awareness of what they mean when they say the word Allah. They don't have an actual relationship of submission. They don't even understand what Tawheed is. There's no difference in the idea of God. You're just calling God by the name, but you're not aware, and there's no Tawheed. There's no submission. There's no humility. There's no truth. There's unawareness. There's superstition, ignorance, arrogance. People might read the Quran, they don't understand a word, and they don't want to receive the message of the Quran. They're not using the Quran for guidance. Get what I mean? And people might talk about the Prophet and just put on a beard on their face to say, we are like the Prophet, but they have no clue of the honorable conduct of the Prophet and what a leader he was, and how he was the best human being in terms of conduct and leadership that has ever lived. They don't know anything. No, just a beard on the face, or wear the hat, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And people might think they are Muslim because they eat halal, but they might not even know tayyib. They pick and choose from the Quran. They don't really understand Islam. They don't understand it's here for benefiting humanity. It's a benefit. What it means to be a Muslim practicing Islam is benefiting humanity. They don't know. Their prayers are nothing but vain prayers. You get what I mean? So these three categories are in error. They're not bad, they're not good either, but they are in error because they're not God conscious. And I say that they are in the caterpillar stage of spiritual development. If you live and die as a caterpillar, it's a sad story because you didn't get to be the butterfly. We are here in terms of a spiritual life cycle to go from disbelief to belief. The Quran says don't worship Satan, worship Allah. The Quran says Satan has threatened you with insecurity and caused you to behave in ways unseeming, but Allah extends His mercy to you, and Allah extends of His bounty. Allah is believing in humanity, giving revelation to humanity. Allah is encouraging humanity to awaken. Allah is telling humanity what happened about Adam and Eve, and where we are, and what we are lost, and what's going on here. And Allah is telling us that there's a way out, through revelation, through prophets and messengers. Allah has guided humanity. If you believe in Allah, He will guide your heart. So the worst sins, the worst erring that human beings can be, the worst of the erring, is to deny God, to associate partners with God, and to say you believe but you don't really believe. Lying to yourself. You get what I mean? These are the worst sins. There are people who think, no, worst sins are, you can murder, you can kill, and I'm not saying that's not a bad sin. Of course, the person who kills is in, some kind of psychological horror. But the worst sin is if you live disconnected, if you live feeling separate, if you live feeling unaware, because from there all other sins come. From there all other sins come. You get what I mean? So a lot of people, especially the hypocrites, they think now we got it all set because we know the name of God is Allah, we know the Prophet, we know the Quran, we know Islam, we're making dua, whatever it is. But they're not really in the awareness of Allah and experiencing Allah consciousness. The Quran says to us that verily in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. Now this is the key quality of a believer, secure. So these three types are insecure, and you will be insecure, a diseased heart. You live unnaturally, you live pervertedly. You won't know what it is to live as a humane being. If you're a denier, associator, and a hypocrite, you'll live unnaturally. You'll poison your body, you'll poison the environment, you won't have any regard for you, other people, God, nothing. The believer has God esteem. The unbeliever, non-believer, and the one who says they believe but doesn't, they don't have God esteem because they don't know God. They don't feel secure. They project power onto this world. They project power onto things. They project power onto a man saying he is God, or onto a thing that they made into with their hands, or something from their ideas in their mind. They have ideas of God and they project power, but they're not really aware of the actual power of God. Get what I mean? When guidance comes to you and you choose it, and you understand there is this option, there is this potential, there is this purpose, there is this possibility. When you realize that you are alive, and that to win in this world is to awaken and to purify your heart, is to bring to God a purified heart. When you become aware that to win in this world through your death and beyond is to become a believer, to live with faith in your heart, for faith to enter into your heart. When you recognize that I am where I am, and I was all three of those caterpillar types, but if you realize I'm here, and without shame, without unworthiness, without taking it personally, saying this is where I am, but I don't want to remain here. I don't want to remain here. I'm so grateful for the encouragement of my Creator. I'm so grateful for the guidance that is here, that I can be beyond this caterpillar, I can be a butterfly. I can enter into a cocoon. I can go through a process of spiritual development, and I can emerge one secure. I can be a winner in this world through my death and beyond, because you can achieve everything else besides living with Iman, Amal, without supporting a life tayyibun and a blissful return. You can think you got everything else, but you got nothing. Get what I mean? The Quran says these are losers. They lose. They have lost. If you don't remember God, if you don't become God conscious, if you don't experience yourself spiritually developed, I'm not saying like what the hypocrites are, acting like they're spiritually developed, pretending to be believers. You get what I mean? And I don't blame them too, but all of us are responsible. The gurus and the pandits have made it, have taken Islam and have created a perversion in it, making blind followers of people, making people believe in them rather than believe in Allah. The gurus and the pandits have followed the ways of India and made you do prayers. You know, if you know India, if you know Hinduism, you know how they are into prayers. Now, I'm not looking down upon anybody, I'm just describing this prayer and that prayer, and we do this prayer and that prayer. You get what I mean? So you could also be a modified mushrik. A hypocrite is a modified mushrik. For those of us who our forefathers were Hindus, and this whole system came in of perversion, and that failed to guide us to Allah, and failed to guide us to have a relationship with Allah and become Allah conscious, they just made it Islamism. You know, it's the same system of power. Come to us, we are the gurus and the pandits. Don't think for yourself. We'll tell you what to do, when to do it, how many times to do it. But Islam is not like that. Islam is for the emancipation of humanity from darkness into the light. Islam encourages reason. Read the Quran. Islam encourages all of humanity to come together in its most highest potential and possibility. So this is not my teaching. This is the same teaching, the deen of Allah, the deen, the way, the millah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam. The Quran says, let us follow in the way of Abraham, peace be upon him. You know what I mean? He was inclining to truth. He wanted to get to know God. He chose to have a closeness with God, an intimacy with God. He became aware of God and then told other people about the wonderful security that is available for those who are aware of God and have that relationship with God, our universal creator, who we call Almighty Allah. So I'm not telling you join an Indian way, or join a certain cultural way. I'm telling you of the way beyond all of humanity's separation, all of humanity's insecurity. There is a universal experience of security with our universal creator. I'm encouraging us all to go beyond our tribalism of separation, our own guru worship and pandit worship, to actually worship God, to first become aware of God. If you don't become aware of God, you can't really worship God. The system of just do your prayers, taking the beautiful institution of Salah, which the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have said, Salah is the Miraj of the Mu'min. It's an ascension experience. and reducing it to a simple prayer, taking salah, an institution of relationship with God, and making it a doing thing to be done, like a prayer to be done, without a relationship with the Creator. How many people have I heard saying to me, when I do my prayers, my mind is all over the place, but I just do it because I have to do it. They are mindless of God. The Quran talks to us about being mindful of God, to be God aware, to be mindful, to experience that security. You get what I mean? So we all have this opportunity. This is the message of the Quran, that when you are on the planet, you will get to see who's inclining to truth and who's deviated from truth. You'll get to see of who will choose the straight path, the path where there is blessings. Who will choose to go beyond superstition, ignorance, arrogance, entitlement, devaluing, ego desires? Who will go beyond making this world real, people and things of this world real? Who will choose to recognize the power of God? Not project power. A lot of the hypocrites, they project power onto God, which is what idolaters do. They have an idea and they project power on an idea. But when you're aware of God, you're aware of the power of God, and you become aware of how little you are aware of the power of God. You have a relationship. Salah is that relationship with our Creator. Establish salah, that every day submit, every day connect. Focus on developing a relationship with your Creator beyond a relationship with anybody, beyond a relationship with anything. Before anybody and anything is Allah. For a believer, Allah is central in their life. I can tell you, if we all chose to be spiritually developed, if we all began to acknowledge that we are currently spiritually underdeveloped without shame and guilt, and realize that there's no cult to join. I don't want you to join my cult. I don't have one. I don't want you to join the cult of the Islamism. I want you to become aware of your Creator. I want you to go beyond separation, beyond having forgotten. I want you to remember Allah. I want you to go beyond forgetting, go beyond being lost in trances, stop worshipping Satan. There is a path of the believer's refuge, that we claim refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed, that Satan whispered to our foreparents Adam and Eve and cost them their security. You know what I mean? They failed themselves, and here we and our forefathers were lost in this forgotten state, having forgotten Allah. And those who remember will no longer be insecure. We must first admit that we are in a forgotten state. We have forgotten. We must admit that there is for us to remember. Now if somebody says, nah, I don't believe in God, I want to remain an atheist, I'm kuffar. Nah, I believe this man is God, I believe God died, I believe God was born, I believe the stone is God, I'm turning to this deity here, and I'm appeasing this deity, mushrik. Or if a person says, no, I believe in Allah, but they don't, they fool themselves thinking they fool Allah, but they only fool themselves. In their hearts is a disease. A person is a hypocrite, saying they believe, but they don't believe. They don't have faith in their hearts. They're not believers. You know what I mean? They project power onto Allah. They treat Allah as a deity. There are no deities. There's only Allah. There's only the one, the actual, the real, the supreme. That before we are, Allah is. Only Allah is. So if you realize that here you are, and you don't have to remain here, it's not bad that you are there. It may be bad if you remain there. Don't take it personally. Be thankful that there is another way for you to be and live, beyond living unconsciously and subconsciously, beyond unawareness, non-experiencing, non-expression, beyond living without a heart assured. You can live with a heart assured, reassured and ensured. You can recognize all three are insecure. All three don't feel okay. And you can see the worry and the fear. You can see the disease and the suffering. The Quran says if you fail to remember Allah, yours will be a depressed life. A lot of these hypocrites are thinking, Allah, why are you giving us these tests? Why are you giving... These are not tests. This is what happens when you live as a disbeliever, as a hypocrite. When you live superstitiously, ignorantly, arrogantly. When you're not aware of guidance. When you don't want guidance. When you don't want to develop yourself spiritually. When you don't want to learn, grow and develop. When you remain unconscious, subconscious, you remain not reasoning. You only want to say halal but not tayyib. You're poisoning yourself with haram, with not halal, well, food that is halal but not tayyib. That is ignorance, that is superstition. This whole thing of tribal Hindu, modified Hinduism, blind faith with gurus, it's all perversion. It's an innovation. They speak of bid'ah, this is a bid'ah. This is an innovation. This is not true. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. We have Allah to protect us. And we are people who recognize we require the protection with Allah from Satan the accursed. This is, A'udhu is first. The Quran says, before you read the Quran, Allah says in the Quran, say A'udhu. A'udhu, don't say, I claim refuge, or I believe in Maulana, or I believe in Maulana Guru, I believe in Maulana Pandit. I'll turn to them, they'll tell me how to live my life. I'll live like a child, they'll be my parent. This is what I call age regressed. It means you're not an adult. You're not thinking as an adult. You're not reasoning. You're not using your critical faculties. How can you progress in life if you live as a child when you're a grown-up adult? You know what I mean? Quran is guiding us to reason. Allah gave us the ability to reason. The people don't want to reason. They're scared to reason because Maulana Guru and Mufti Pandit told them, come to us, come to us. The Quran says, go to Allah. The Prophet said, go to Allah. Learn about Allah. Choose to be on the path. The straight path, the ascending path, the path of remembrance, the path of truth. What is really true? That there's only Allah. We are the creation of Allah, but we have forgotten. We have forgotten that we're okay, everything is okay. Satan has whispered to us, threatened us with insecurity, caused us to behave in ways unseemingly. We think we can depend on others. We think we can depend on ourselves. We think others can depend on us. They think they can depend on us. We think we can depend on us. We're not really having that relationship with Allah. That our vulnerabilities with Allah. You see, where you are now and where you can be, you've got to first acknowledge that. That I am not living as a believer. Faith has not entered into my heart. And I want to live as a believer. I'm so grateful that potential exists for me to live as a secure human being. To live as a person who's not superstitious, ignorant and arrogant. To go beyond living as an age-regressed, like a child, save me, other people. To recognize your relationship is with Allah first, and that's enough. The first relationship is with Allah. I can't tell you how to live. I'm not here to tell you how to live. I'm telling you how I was guided to live. I'm nobody. The Prophet was humble. He said, I don't know. Many things he said, I don't know. Yet the gurus and the pandits, they say, we know everything, come to us. Allah alone is Alim, the all-knowing, the wise, the Hakim. There's no human being that is Alim. Allah alone is Mawla, is pious. There's no human being. Allah is the pure. I turn to the pure, to the holy, to the pristine, to the flawless, to the all-knowing. I don't turn to anybody. This is what happens when you are still an unbeliever. You don't know God. And you live feeling threatened and afraid. And you don't know there's a whole world that awaits you, a spiritual world of security. And how you can be with your Creator. You don't know how you can live establishing that relationship and what you can do from within that relationship. How establishing that relationship awakens you from fear and threat and vulnerability of the fallen state. You don't know. A lot of people don't know security. They don't know they have God. This is why when the hypocrites turn to God, they don't turn to God from having God. They act like He's not there. Please, please, save us, save us. They don't know the power of God. They don't know the privileging of God. They don't feel assured now. There's no assurance. There's no security. There's no tranquility. The Quran says Allah puts tranquility into the hearts of the believers, that they may expand in faith slowly, slowly. Where's the tranquility? Where's the assurance in the hypocrites' heart? I'm not against them. I'm just saying that if you came from that system, you can, and if you're courageous, and if you realize, well, not everybody is courageous, not everybody wants to draw too close to God, not everybody wants to purify their heart, not everybody wants to receive the guidance of the Quran. People just want to follow in the ways of their forefathers. You might just want to just be like, it might be easier to fit in, you know. For the people who wanted to know about God, who got trained in these systems of Pandit and Maulana systems, imagine if they want to get close to God, now they have to say, hey, the system is not right, they'll get rejected and all that sort of thing. It's hard for them. But Allah says, do not fear the people. Be conscious of me. Trust in Allah. I choose truth, and I choose to speak the truth. And if anybody's not happy with it, you don't have to be happy with it. I'm not telling you how to live, I'm telling you how I've been guided to live. I'm telling you what's possible for us beyond your wildest dreams. I'm telling you what's possible for us of having Allah close to you than your own jugular veins, how when you ask Him, He responds. I'm telling you beyond what you know, there's an actual relationship with God, a relationship of submission, that you can experience the hand of God in your life. You can have Him protect you, progress you, prosper you. That's what I'm talking about here. Get what I'm saying? I'm talking about Iman in our hearts. Not everybody is interested in it. People are interested in Islamism. But there is, if you are, I'm showing you the way. That this is where you are, and where can you be? This is where you are. Acknowledge, speak the truth about where you are. I'm currently insecure. I'm currently not feeling the connection with God. I'm feeling threatened and insecure. Look at your own behavior. Look at your thoughts that you think. Look at the feelings that you feel. Look at the actions that you do. Look and see the diseased heart and the effects of the disease. Look at the deprivation. Look, the Quran says, which of the favors of Allah do you deny? Look and see how much gratitude you express, appreciation you express. Look and see how much spiritual joy you feel with your Creator. Look and see who you turn to first. Look and see who you turn to first. Who's your first relationship with? What's your first relationship with? Don't judge yourself when you see this. Satan wants you to become defensive. Satan wants you to turn this off and not listen to this. Satan wants you to continue to remain unconscious and live subconsciously. Satan doesn't want you to step into this cocoon, to go through a process of spiritual development. Satan wants you to remain the same. You know, if we live our lives remaining the same, it's a very big problem. If we don't purify our hearts, if we don't become more secure, get closer to Allah. Islamic teaching tells us if you walk towards Allah taking one step at a time, Allah runs to you taking 10 steps at a time. You get what I mean? If you walk towards Allah, He runs towards you. If you take one step, we are here to step towards Allah every day. If you're not really stepping towards Allah every day, you're not going to experience Him running towards you. And you're going to feel that in your life. I felt that aloneness, that disconnect. I felt like I'm abandoned. I felt like there's nobody here for me. Do any of you feel like that? You're scared, you're afraid, there's nobody here for you. You feel you need the job, the boss is going to fire you. You feel like you need the person, if they leave you, what's going to happen? Do you feel existentially abandoned? Do you feel like you left here and you're all alone and there's nobody here for you? Do you feel scared? Do you feel like you turn to God but He's not there, He doesn't hear you? Do you feel like He ignores you? Do you feel like you're all alone? Do you feel like, hey, at least I got my job, so I got my money now, I don't have to worry about it, I'm busy working? Is your first relationship with money, with work? Is your life controlled by work, by money? Is your life controlled by your children, by your spouse? Do you feel controlled? Are you trying to control? Are you trying to make you be different? Are you trying to make people be different? Are you impatient? Allah is with those who are patient. Inna Allaha masabirin, the Quran says. For verily Allah is with those who are patient. Are you impatient? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be impatient. I'm saying, are you impatient? Are you peaceful? Do you feel assurance? In the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. Do you experience assurance? Do you know that you have Allah? Do you know what that means to have Allah? Are you aware of the favors and gifts of Allah? Are you living thankful for the favors and gifts? Are you living thankful that whatever problems you have, you have Allah to protect you. You have Allah to progress you. And you have Allah to prosper you. Are you feeling that you have Allah? Because when we have a relationship with Allah, the perversion in us goes away. All of us have that perversion. I used to smoke. I used to do poison in my body. I used to be aggressive, impatient, insecure, threatened. I did harmful things to me and other people. You get what I mean? This is an indication that you're not aware of Allah. Trying to stop yourself from being the way you are and changing yourself and changing your life like that doesn't work. You change yourself and you change your life by becoming aware of Allah. The believer is one who is aware that only Allah actually exists, that there's nothing but Allah, that we are temporary beings in a temporary world. This world is created. A believer is humble before their Creator. I'm not saying this to show off, but I'm showing you what faith looks like. That you too, each one of you, from where you are, you can be there. As a believer, there's a potential, there's a possibility. You can live beyond existential abandonment. You can have this existential attendedness. You can go beyond insecurity and feeling alone and scared and afraid and wondering why there's problems and drama and trauma in your life. You can go beyond all of that. You can go from having no iman in your heart to having iman in your heart. That exists for you. Allah has given you encouragement. Allah has championed humanity. Allah is telling us. He didn't cause a problem for us. Adam and Eve caused a problem for themselves. We are causing problems for ourselves. He is the one guiding us. You know, the people who don't recognize the guidance of Allah, they think, Allah, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? In the meantime, you can't see you doing this to you. Everything is okay, but you are not aware that everything is okay because you're not aware of Allah and you're not aware of Allah's relating to you. You're not aware, you're not responding to Allah. You're not responding to Allah's relating to you. The Quran says, respond to Allah. Allah responds to you, but respond to Allah. You get what I mean? A true believer is aware that only Allah actually exists. There's nothing to talk about except Allah. And Allah, His gifts for us, a true believer. But if you are in the fallen state and you haven't gone through a process of spiritual development, then you won't be this person with God esteem. You won't be aware that Allah is before creation. Allah has always been, will always be, the unique, the supreme. Allah has power over all things. If you are living your life as a Hindu, modified Hindu, and I don't mean anything against the Hindus, do whatever you all want to do, the Quran says. There's no compulsion in religion, but there's consequences for what you do. Truth stands out from falsehood. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, truth stands out from falsehood, for those of you who choose truth. So, if you presence Allah, if you are aware of Allah and you presence Allah, this is what it means to believe in Allah and to worship Allah. It's the presencing of Allah. When you start realizing nothing in me, my body, my life, my work is going to live except my soul beyond my death. You understand? These things that I worry about, this is how you know you're in a trance. Satan will tell you, oh, look at your health, very bad. Now, I'm not saying don't attend to your health. But I'm saying first, attend to Allah. Put your attention on Allah. Before you, before this world, before anybody and anything, this is what I was guided to submit. The people who are in this deniers, associators and hypocrites, they don't put their attention on Allah first. They maintain separation. They don't know Allah is closer to them than their own jugular veins. They act like Allah is very far away. They don't know Allah hears those who praise Him. You see, when you're a believer, when you are a believer, you actually presence Allah. And you are aware that Allah is aware of you. As a believer, I am aware that Allah is aware of me. As one who worships Allah, who actually worships Allah, I am aware that Allah is aware of me. As one who actually praises Allah. You know what I mean? When you're a hypocrite, you think you're worshipping Allah, but you're not really worshipping Allah. Because there's separation, there's forgetfulness, there's no awakening, there's no tawheed. There's no waking up from Satan. You haven't chosen A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitani Rajim. You haven't realized that there is a path for me to undertake. There's a transformational path. There's for me to awaken. I'm on that path. You just know what must do. I'll do it. Tell me what to do. Religious expertise. Do this, don't do that, don't do that. Okay. But you're not really bringing to Allah a purified heart. You're not really becoming Allah aware. Those of us who become aware of Allah, we're not the same people. When you're unaware of Allah, and you become aware of Allah, you are a more aware of Allah person, you're a more secure person, you're not the same person. You are aware of Allah's nature, wonderful nature, peaceful. When you become more peaceful, loving, compassionate nature, you becoming loving, compassionate, Allah's patience with us, you become more patient. This is what it means when you become aware of Allah. You become aware of Allah's power. You trust more in Allah. So I'm saying that when you're a hypocrite, you think you worship Allah, but you don't really worship Allah. Because if you really worshipped Allah, you would experience Allah being aware of you, and you'd feel assured. Allah is aware of me. Not like, hey, I'm here, we forgot about me. And when you really praise Allah, you'll experience Allah hearing you, Allah available to you. When you presence Allah and you praise Allah, you'll experience Allah available to you. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allah hears those who praise Him. Get what I mean? You don't even know what you're saying when you're a hypocrite, just doing what the gurus tell you to do. Doesn't end well if you remain in a fallen state, if you don't remember Allah, if Iman doesn't enter your heart. This is a path of going beyond no Iman into the heart and Iman into it. That's what you can be. Is what I'm trying to tell you is there's a potential for you, whether you believe it or not. You as a human being can live with Iman in your heart. But you must go through a learning, you must go through development, you must go through waking up as an adult and understanding what is the message of the Quran. You must see the error of your ways. You must see where you have taken gods other than God, or you have ideas of God but not the actual awareness and experiencing of God. You know, this is what's possible for you. You can live with Iman in your heart, and you can live a life from having honorable conduct, Iman, Amal. Look at yourself now and see where you are now, is what I'm saying, without judging yourself. Shukr to Allah. Allah is compassionate and merciful. Speak the truth to yourself without becoming defensive. Satan doesn't want you to speak the truth. He wants you to become defensive. Some of you might even get aggressive. If I was around you all, God knows what you all will do to me. You know what I mean? People listening to this. Because they're so lost in their ways. They don't want to know Allah. They want to practice Islamism, not Islam. They want to have ideas of Allah. They don't really want to be aware of Allah. Get what I mean? And so that's fine. That's got nothing to do with me, whether you bring to Allah a purified heart or not. All the thing got to do with me is me bringing to Allah a purified heart. So there is, for all of us, whether you take the opportunity or not, you can live with Iman in your heart. You must be inspired and enthused and willing to support that potential. You can live with Amal. You can go from being a dishonorable human being to an honorable human being. You can have that relationship with Allah. You can have that relationship with you, your body, your life. You can have a relationship with Allah's good in this world and the world beyond. You can have a relationship with the people and things of this world in a healthy way. You can live with Iman, Amal, and a life tayyibun. The Quran says if you're a man or a woman, if you have Iman and you have Amal, then there's a life tayyibun. You can choose a natural life of satisfaction, of fulfillment, healthy satisfaction, of living healthily instead of depriving yourself of Allah's good. Allah says He put love and compassion in our hearts that we may take partners from among ourselves and dwell in tranquility. People are not choosing to get married or get married with love and compassion. They're just doing it like the non-believers. You get what I mean? A life tayyibun and a blissful return. There is this opportunity for us. But you must speak the truth about where you are. And you must see where you can be. And you must be inspired. to say, thank you, Allah, for the guidance. Thank you for showing me the error of my ways. Thank you for this book, the Quran, the guidance to humanity. Thank you for that man, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful way of Islam. I want to become aware of you. I want to become aware of the Quran. I want to become aware of the Prophet. I want to become aware of Islam. I want to become aware of how to respond to you, how to relate to you. I want to build a relationship with you. You must want that first. And you must be grateful that even though we are astray and lost, Allah is not judging us here. Allah is not judging us. Allah is encouraging us. Allah is championing us. Wake up, people. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Satan is not your friend. Become aware that you can live with the effects of Satan upon humanity, or you can be among a different kind of human being. Very few will choose to be this different kind of human being, the way of Abraham, the way of friendship with God, the way of bringing to God a purified heart. Very few will choose it. The courageous, those who really in their hearts are sincere, that I don't want to live and die as a loser. I don't want to be raised up as a loser. Or worse, I don't want to live and die as a liar. The Quran says they are liars. They say they lie. They say they believe, but they don't believe. They are liars. I don't want to live as a loser. I don't want to live as a liar. I have my reasons why I want to develop my iman, amal, and live a life tayyibun and have a blissful return. I have my reasons. You see, this is where it starts. To say, look where I am. Look where I can be. I'm so grateful that opportunity exists. I'm so thankful that Allah is merciful. Allah has given me guidance. To feel good now that we have been given this awareness that there is a higher version of us, a higher vision of our lives, that we can live in this world through our death and beyond. And you can be inspired and enthused and say, that is in my heart to be this higher version of me. Instead of saying, why am I the way I am? Let me change me. Let me change my life. You have no power. But what you have been given is awareness. And you can see the option. And you can say, I choose to be the person of A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. You can be, if you want to. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. That I don't want to live like most people, worshipping Satan and lost. I want that refuge. How wonderful it is that Allah is out. How wonderful it is Allah is guiding us. But those who just read the Quran without understanding a word, memorizing it without really understanding its essence, thinking it's a wonderful thing to just memorize, wonderful thing, but the guidance is what it's all about. Receiving the guidance. You know what I mean? That we have been guided, that Satan is an enemy avowed. And if you live your life without claiming the believer's refuge, Satan will render you kafuran. You will never know God. You will never know the power of God. You will never experience the power of God. You will never know God. You will never know the privileging nature of God. You will never feel grateful. You will never receive His good in this world and the world beyond. Because you don't know. You don't know God. You think you know. You have ideas. But you're not having the awareness and experiencing as a believer with Iman in your heart. You're not experiencing that mind that was sick with all this ideas, satanic idea, that heart that was perverted, getting cleansed of fear. The friends of Allah, they will never fear, they will never grieve, they will never fear, the Quran says. The friends of Allah. They'll never, but the gurus will tell you, you can't be a friend. You're nobody. We are the friends, maybe they might tell you. Maybe they might not even tell you that. But the Quran is encouraging us to follow in the way of Abraham, the friendship with Allah, the intimacy, the closeness, that Allah before anybody is you. I want to be first with you before anybody or anything. I want to be closer to you. I want to have a greater awareness of you before I have a greater awareness of anybody else or anything else. When when a believer speaks, they know that only Allah actually is, only Allah actually exists, and Allah is relating to us. And the believer does not deny Allah, and the believer experiences Allah's relating to us. The believer knows that nothing and nobody else in this world is important. The believer withdraws power projections and attributions of significance, importance of specialness, exaggerations of importance. Specialness. Only Allah is, and Allah is special, but you don't know that when you're lost. So you got to see that I can be a believer, I can live as a receiver, I can, have iman, amal, and have a life tayyibun and a blissful return. I want that. You must choose it. If that's in your heart, to say, Allah, that's what I want. I don't want to live as a liar. I don't want to live as a loser. I want to be a winner. I want to be transformed. Guide me. I'm prepared to go through this process. I'm prepared to go through this process. trust in Allah. So I said, those of us who worship Allah, we are aware that Allah, because we presence Allah before everybody and everything. Before we focus on anybody and everything, including ourselves and our stories, we focus on Allah. We are aware that Allah is aware of us. As a believer, you're aware. I'm aware Allah is aware of me. As one who is aware of Allah and praises Allah, I'm aware that Allah is hearing me. He's with me. He's hearing me. As I be aware of Allah and His sufficiency for me, His adequacy for me, His caring and consideration, championing and cherishing, His creating me with status and standing, He's for me. He's giving us guidance. I want that guidance. I trust in Allah. And I experience Allah responding to me as a believer. I experience Allah responding to me. I see His hand at work in my life. And as one who trusts in Allah and who's thankful to Allah, I experience Allah giving us more. The Quran says if you're thankful, Allah gives you more. Why are those so-called Muslim people getting less and less? Why is there so much drama and trauma in the world? The people are not thankful. They're not in awe of Allah. They're not adoring Allah's praiseworthiness. They're not appreciating Allah's gifting. They're not accepting His gifts. They're not seeing what they have. They're keeping more away. See, these are things you learn as a believer. You can see I was in error. This was the errors that I was making, and you correct them. This was my sin. I no longer sin. You feel assured when you are aware of Allah. You feel assured in this moment. You know that there's only Allah. Whatever happens in this world through my death and beyond, there's only Allah. And I am a winner because I'm aware of Allah. I worship Allah, I praise Allah, I trust Allah, I thank Allah. I'm not acting like I'm worshipping. I'm not acting like I'm trusting. I'm not acting like I'm praising. I'm not pretending to praise. I'm not pretending to be. I really am. And I can see the difference in me and my life. And I know that I have Allah to protect me. Never despair of the mercy of your Lord. The Quran says, it's the disbelieving people who despair. I have Allah to forgive me, Allah's merciful nature. I'm aware of Allah's merciful nature. I'm thankful for it. I don't need to be perfect. It's not about me. It's about me recognizing Allah's merciful nature. It's about me recognizing Allah's power. It's about me recognizing Allah's giving. It's about me recognizing I'm okay, that I've always been okay. When I do that, I'm transformed. I've been, and I continue to be. And when I'm practicing patience, that I have you, Allah, to find a way from sources unknown and ways unexpected. I trust in you and I have you. I practice patience, and real patience. Not just saying make sabar. Real patience. An actual spiritual practice. I experience Allah with me and I experience His hand in my life. It changes me, it transforms me, it changes my life. And Allah's good is here. I can make dua to Allah knowing that He never says no to the believer. He says, invoke me and I will surely respond. I can even know what to ask for that is not satanic asking, and how I can ask and that I can feel that expectant trust. So this is what I'm saying, from where you are to where you can be, there is that. And it starts off by admitting where you are. It starts off by being thankful for where you can be. It starts off putting your heart there for where you can be. And it's about you being willing to get onto the believer's refuge path. Because that's how you're going to get there. By claiming the refuge, but being grateful, Allah, thank you so much that you are our refuge. And we have that refuge. And you are sufficient as a refuge. And this path is here and I'm on this path. And if you believe in Allah, He'll guide your heart. Shukr to Allah who has guided me. All praise, glory, and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.